Hot damn, you're listening to Frolicking Chronicles, a Frolic Inc. broadcast.
Dune.
Hello.
My goodness, can we just say how brilliant? And I'm just gonna play this right from Google Translate.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis, you are
Denis Villeneuve.
amazing. Jaden called it the Dune reboot. It was epic on so many levels. It is getting rave reviews. We knew internationally it was thriving. The big question was, would it have the same response here in the United States? And for a $165 million budget movie, it will surpass and make its money back and then some, which is really exciting because it simultaneously opened up in the theaters and on HBO Max.
Well, which lucky for us, we also got to watch it on HBO Max this morning
over breakfast.
Right. I'm trying to see if my sound's okay or not without breaking this. Okay. Hold on, I'm checking some techie stuff.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to tell you guys a little backstory on how we even got involved in Dune. Our editor, Jaden, has read the book 3 times over.
Also her son.
Yeah. And he says, you guys need to do a book review on Dune. And then we need to go see it. And I'm telling you, the world's problems would be null if people just read Dune. All of us humans would align.
Well,
he's not wrong.
And I think too, I mean, you probably talk about this maybe a little bit later, but you were saying that you don't care for Star Wars. And we were talking about this. I enjoy Star Wars. And I loved going to Disneyland with Sophia. I loved the more feminine, feminist reboot with Rey and all of that.
I do like her character, but I'm not on pins and needles waiting for the next Star Wars to come out. I have fond memories as a kid of the Ewok one. See, I can't even tell you the title of whichever one that was.
Right.
And honestly, for me, and Samantha said it best earlier over breakfast.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's Star Wars is basically basic good versus evil with some fun and fantasy roped in and some fighting, where Dune is layers upon layers, politics, religion, supernatural power, and the environment. And so for me, reading Dune, it took me a little bit to kind of get into it, but mostly I feel like that's because I don't know how to say or pronunciate Arrakis, melange. What is the spice?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I just call it the spice.
The spice. And so for me, once I got past that part and you really start kind of diving into those different layers I was talking about, and not just one specific religion, this Frank Herbert, he studied for 4 years his notes on the chance of his book being published in the mid-60s. And I just feel like that commitment, who does that? I mean, everybody's trying to get like something to go viral in 30 seconds, Who commits 4 years of their life to write a book that is amazingly...
That's right. It took him 4 years.
Yeah, and then the rewrite, he typed about 1 million words just to make sure he kept track of everything. I mean, I'll tell you at the end of the book, the afterword written by his son was probably really my favorite part because it really dissected the research and the discipline. To me, that's a discipline.
Yes. Agreed.
Right? I'm going to commit. So many people say, oh, I'm going to write a book, or oh, you should write a book. Oh, I should write a book. How many people actually do it? And then do it with that much research?
Yeah, I think the book came out in 1965, if I remember correctly. And I'll tell you what, just going back on the Star Wars thing just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Star Wars anticipation for some of the newer films just were a miss on me. Some of the characters, the way that Natalie Portman was, to me, scandally dressed. I thought, what is this director doing? There was a lot of misses for me in Star Wars.
Okay.
And if you rewatch some of them, you'll probably relate to what I'm saying. I just felt like there was a lot of unnecessary moments in Star Wars for me. Not an avid fan of the novels. However, with Dune, Frank Herbert, I cannot express enough that Denis really captured the characters, the humanity of these characters, the way that they interact, the importance of the different subject matters that Samantha had just expressed, like with environment. And so relevant for today.
Today. I mean, I think that's what struck me the most. I mean, I do read books that are political based or, and I like science fiction. I like adventure. I feel like this book kind of encompassed all of that.
And by the way, the film only covers the first book. So it's like there's 2 books inside the one book.
Second? I really hope. Do we know if they're making the second?
I would be shocked if they didn't. I really hope so. I mean, maybe our followers or subscribers can comment below, like, what's the haps. I just went on Google to research right now it's October 23rd. So we saw it yesterday on Friday. We went to the IMAX Regal Theater in the Spectrum Center, and my goodness, that was the right way to go.
Okay, I was like, oh my gosh, guys, we're gonna see it at 10:40. Oh man, I feel so old. I need a power nap. I need vitamin B12. I need a coffee. But somehow, well, I'll tell you how. The movie was exciting.
The movie was exciting. And by the way, I do think like the cappuccinos and everything we had in the lobby, it was really nice. When you walk into the Irvine Regal Theater, to your left, actually the left and the right, they actually had little seating areas. And so we were able to be inside and sit on couches, and they were kind enough to let us go get our concessions while we waited for the rest of our party. I mean, Jaden and his best friend Cedric secured like 16 tickets.
Oh my gosh, we had such a huge group of us, which did bring me back to our Twilight days, I won't lie. But but I also just felt like it's been so long since we've done a big group thing of anything.
Sure.
Outing, I would say. I mean, of course, you, Eric, and Paxton and I have been going on a lot of double dates to cover different things that we want to do. But I just felt like when Pax and I were driving over there, I only live 20 minutes from Irvine Spectrum, but it was like, this is what keeps us young.
Yes.
So if you feeling like an old fogey, just
go
out, go to a late show one night.
We had
you'll feel cool.
Our youngins group shot, and then all of us.
And not that you have to feel cool. It just makes you more relatable, I feel, to the younger crowd and what they're doing.
Well, and that was what was so cool about
the theater was full.
Oh, the theater was full, and keep in mind, Jaden secured these tickets a few weeks ago, and they were online between him and his buddy, looking at the seats, trying to figure this, that, and the other, and it took both of them because there was a limit.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you, Jaden. That was awesome. Really fun. All I had to do is Venmo some money or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say, like, Deadline says, Dune bumps up in China with $16 million through Saturday. Will cross $200 million worldwide on Sunday. That's from the international box office numbers. So if you haven't seen it yet,
people want to go back to the movies, even though HBO Max, it's on there. Now, that's what I was talking about earlier. So Ronnie came over last night after the movie and stayed the night so we can make sure we knocked out all our podcast stuff, because Jaden was adamant, we need to get this one done. We need to get this right as it's hot. And he
didn't want us trying to do 2 podcasts in one day or anything. He said, no.
Sometimes we're pushing it.
Dune only. That's
Dune,
it.
We're following his rules. Okay. So, the thing that I also loved about the book Dune and the movie, the new one, is that it was about the book in some of the articles that I read. Ecology was the science of understanding and consequences. That was huge. Frank Herbert compared melange, and if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry, I did not listen to the audiobook, the spice to oil, like fossil fuel we are dependent on. And that could not be more real. And that, again, political, economic layer, but also how it is detrimental to the environment. Spoilers, guys. There's spoilers that we're going to talk about. In some levels of the book, it went in deeper. Of course, the environment, they were trying to get water. Water was an issue. Water is becoming a huge issue for us here in California. And as things are drying up, Lake Mead and the man-made lakes and the rivers. And so as I was reading this book, I felt, oh, Jesus Christ, help us, man. I'm not kidding. This is kind of foretelling. And this was written in the 60s.
That's
Humans
choice of
are
word.
ruining the planet.
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh about that, but I'm going to find my little quote that I highlighted.
Kind of interesting, too, to me, the way the cast came together and how the majority of the cast said, this is my dream project. In fact, Hans Zimmer was asked to compose The Tenet, which Denis has said is also a masterpiece, and I'm a big Tenet fan. I can watch that movie a gazillion times.
I have to watch it a zillion times so I can even understand it.
Yeah. But once again, it's a film that's made for IMAX. You know, that's how Christopher Nolan is, and that's how he films. So for us, it really was a treat to see it on that really grand screen. But my point being is, Hans Zimmer basically told Christopher Nolan, I cannot score your movie Tenet because I got invited to do Dune, and he had been he's basically composing it since he was a child.
His whole life he's wanted to do that.
Like that book affected him so much and affected Denis, I think like at 13 or 14 years old. And we have a colleague, shipmate actually, Jackson, Damon, and we'll have to invite him to chit chat with us about his experience, because I remember being on the Jarvis and he was reading the book, and it was not his first time reading Dune, and he said, this book changed my life as a teenager. And so
I want to know how, Damon. You need to let us know. I mean, did it affect the way he thought of the environment? Did it think of, what
I think it was fear is the mind killer. I mean, this is somebody who joined the military. Yeah, this is somebody who joined the military at a very young age. He started out in the Air Force and then crossed over to the Coast Guard, and that's how we met him. Mm-hmm. And as a, young African American gay male, I'm guessing that really probably was a powerful statement. It's like, fear is the mind killer. So if you're fearful, you're not going to achieve. So just
right. I feel like we're jumping into our last little talking bit, but I want to talk more about that whole fear piece and actually read it to our listeners that may not have read the book. And they do say it throughout the movie, but it also is.
Well, you've seen those T-shirts around. That's where it's from.
Yeah. But just back to that whole environment piece, I just wanted to say that Brian, who did the afterword for his father, he said, Dad saw a Western man inflicting himself on the environment, not living in harmony with it. And that to me just spoke volumes of, these things that we're seeing. And in the movie, the visual impact of people from different planets battling it out for the spice.
Well, I think it was what captivated me in the film and in the book is that strategic chess match for power, which we can relate to in modern times. You see how these politicians are putting all their, pieces.
Pawns out there.
Yeah, basically. And it's just a very, very layered book, and I think then when you bring in that human element, that they are actual real people in the book. I mean, obviously characters, but I'm saying like she's a mom. She's Jessica's a mom.
And
he's a
Jessica
dad.
And Paul's relationship is so, to me, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Even the dad and the way he cared for his son.
Dad, what if I'm not the future of House Atreides?
A great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it. But if your answer is no, you'll still be the only thing I ever needed you to be. My son.
They weren't married, because for political reasons, he wanted to be able to be open to marrying somebody from another, strategic bloodline, if you will. So Jessica, Paul's mom, was always the concubine.
But she also was okay with it. She accepted it.
Yes.
It's not something that I think upset her, or it's just the things the way they were, and that society that she came from and her training, it all led to that bigger picture.
They were always working on the bigger picture, right? Mm-hmm. Jesuit? Mm-hmm. Was that
Benedict?
Yeah. Benedict. Yeah. So I feel like what was enjoyable about the movie was also the casting. The actors.
For sure.
The actors the emotion. I mean, these weren't just run-of-the-mill actors. We have Zendaya, we have Timothy Chalamet, we have Chalamet. Always say that wrong. Sorry, Timothy. I'm sure you're not listening. Oh gosh, who plays Jessica? You said she was from Sweden?
Rebecca Ferguson. She's a Swedish actress.
From Dr. Sleep, who we also love that movie.
That right now. Yes, I was right. Rebecca Ferguson, and we once again recognize.
But even like Jason Momoa, did I say that right?
I feel like Jason is usually eye candy. I agree with our mama friend Annette, and she said he's just eye candy. She always thinks he's not that great of an actor, and I can see her perspective. I mean, you know,
who else could play Aquaman? I'm
know.
sorry,
I
he's
mean,
great. I know that's a combination of eye candy, like Thor. I mean,
but my point being is, he really owned that role.
He owned it, and you know what? His Ohana came out in that.
Yeah,
his aloha spirit, his whole vibe. I wish more humans were that engaged with each other and caring and thought. They all loved Paul.
Look at you. Put on some muscle?
I did?
No.
And no matter if you read the book or not, you can't help it. They all had an interest in him. Not because they believed he was the next Messiah, which is where the book will end up going. Basically, it's an adventure story of a Messiah on a desert planet. And I think in the movie, I like too what it said there. Is it Caladan? Was the water planet, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And then they needed to get the power of the desert, which was Arrakis. And the power was through the spice.
Yeah, and
the
also
people, the framing.
I would say, because these are very intelligent people who were very disregarded from the other, the villains of the film.
They were like outcasted.
And they only thought they had like 50,000, and turns out there's like tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands
crazy
of
amount
them.
of
Innovative
people power. And
innovative.
Yes, very clever. So what did you feel once you saw this film in comparison to the David Lynch 1985 version? Which we couldn't.
Well, okay.
I couldn't sit through the whole
I just
thing.
want to say I did watch the David Lynch one after I finished the book because it was the only thing I could grasp onto, and I don't want to bag on it so much, only in the sense that you said that. Although I feel like he's being sour. You said that he's not going to want to see this one because he didn't get the budget.
Well, here's the thing. So David, I'm a huge fan of David Lynch, right?
Yeah, Twin Peaks, awesome.
All of that, Twin Peaks. And the thing is that with David Lynch, he didn't get the budget that he originally wanted in 1985 or when they were in production. And so he had to kind of like piece it together. I think there was a moment where Jessica's character is kind of narrating the thing. They shoved the whole book into one film.
Right.
And so I will read a quote that I came up on Looper. And it says, "It was a heartbreak for me." Or heartache for me, sure. Lynch said, of his 1984 version of Dune. "It was a failure and I didn't have final cut. I've told this story a billion times. It's not the film I wanted to make. I like certain parts of it very much, but it was a total failure for me." So it's sad because, in other things you hear he doesn't want anything to do with this film. He doesn't want to go see it. He doesn't want to hear about it. And probably it's just putting salt in the wound. But if he can switch his mentality to really
embrace
it and say like, hey, that's what I could have.
I would have loved to have done that, right? Okay, so I just was reading from Yahoo Entertainment, Dune versus Dune, why David Lynch's version is a lot more fun than Denis Villeneuve's. I'm totally botching that. By Eric Coe on 10/23/21 IndieWire. "It's a ridiculous blast. Assumption has been David Lynch got Dune 1984 wrong, or 1985, while the one got the adaptation right. It was about the book. He added Lynch's much like Alejandro Jodorowsky's, which if you've watched that documentary, it's like Jaden said, it's the best movie never made. Unrealized production years earlier suffered a fatal flaw. I don't know if he was really interested by Dune," said the current director of the one that just released, "so much as his own predilections as a filmmaker. Yet, that's what makes the earlier Dune so fascinating. It fuses Herbert's geopolitical sci-fi world building with Lynch's own malleable dreamscapes resulting in an absorbing blend of B-movie storytelling, because that's what it felt like, but of course I was giving it grace because it's been so many years, oddball Freudian signifiers, and an adventure visual palette.
I didn't feel any of that when I was watching that. I did appreciate that Sting was in it.
Well, it didn't win, but it got nominated for Oscar for the best sound. So the special effects at that time, even though they're goofy now, were praised and applauded. And I'm gonna say I do love that it's book 1 and hopefully we get book 2, because David Lynch is squeezing it all together.
Oh yeah, it was not a good call.
The book is really, it's not a small book, right? We got the beautiful version in the back here.
Yes, that's Jaden's hard copy in the back, and it has a beautiful blue edge on the
It's
paper.
just stunning. But, so there's obviously a lot of differences also that were in there. And, Jodorowsky's Dune, which actually one of my tenants at my job, he was telling me about it because he said it's worth the watch if you like Dune, but that's pretty spectacular. If you're a huge fan, you should definitely check out that document. But Nerd Rant Inverse, Ryan Britt said earlier this month, the strongest Dune is the one we never saw. Basically, his redesign would have strayed from the book. So, it would have, because he wanted Pink Floyd to do the soundtrack, so no Hans. That would have sucked.
Who are you saying was
Jodorowsky's Dune? Have you heard about that?
I think I have, but I haven't researched it myself.
Yeah,
but I think you and I talked about this when we first started reading.
Yeah,
the book.
it's a really long. It's an hour and 30 minutes, and it can get kind of dry. But it's just worth knowing when you're talking about the fandom of Dune. It's been what is it, 60? So we're in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So 60 years. Is that right? What's the
I don't
math
know.
on
You
that?
have to pull a calculator out.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Okay, 65. We're in 2021. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so there's a huge fandom for many, many years. And many, a few people wanted to make this film and only a few got a chance.
Yes, that would be real. And once again, just going back to the cast, can we just give praise to people like Josh Brolin? They really own their characters. Him as Gurney was.
I just felt like they casted so well.
They did.
Those casting directors. Those guys.
And you believed that the parents were actually Timothy's parents.
Yes.
I felt like the mom and the dad really kind of looked like made that kid.
What honor! They tried to kill my son.
It was really, really
so
well done.
amazing. Yeah. But speaking of that, Dr. Kynes actually in the new movie changed. The gender changed. She's actually the actress from Sex Education, Sharon Duncan Brewster. I knew she looked familiar, but I thought that was kind of a cool twist, book versus movie, that they, changed the gender role on that. They also left out, Jessica was suspicious. People were, what did you say, Gurney? He thought that she was the saboteur, but it really was...
that they were trying to think she was the villain of it, and she had planned it.
Yeah, and then and then the scene with Jameis, when they fought, Paul and Jameis, that didn't happen so quickly in the book, right? They waited to get back to where their tribe kind of lived before that fight happened. It wasn't in the open desert.
Yeah, and I do remember Shawnee's character gave Paul some tips,
yes.
I thought they did a really great adaptation, though. I really think that they nailed this film.
Oh, I felt like, I'm saying they're just small, subtle, like with any book to movie where you go, wait a minute, is that how that happened? Okay,
we had to remind ourselves.
Yeah, and then I love it when, this is from radiotimes.com, so they kind of broke down a couple different things, the doctor was a male in the book.
Which was fine. And even then, there was a moment between Paul and the Duke where the Duke tells him, please tell your mom I should have married her. But in the film, he actually says it to her.
Right.
And so there were some very sweet moments.
Right.
Let me just say the most powerful scene in that film for us.
Yes.
was when Jessica's head mother comes.
Yes, the head
And
witch.
Paul has to do the test, and she basically relies to him, this is why you would die.
Well, he said-
need to die. And he says, because of who my father is.
Yeah,
I'm a son
I'm-
of a duke. And he's getting kind of
Sassy, yeah, about it. And she replies, that is not your only bloodline. In
Because you're
regards-
the son of Jessica.
Yes, and so I was like, damn, straight up, son, you have two bloodlines here. And the one that is giving you power is actually from your mother.
Your mother.
Duke aside.
Boom.
Yes, and I appreciated that so much because when you are raised in the patriarchy, in a misogynist environment, which most of us women are and have been, okay, I thought, praise to the mother, because we get power from our mothers too. It is not just who you're, who's the heir on the father's side.
And that's the thing. He's thinking he's getting the power by his dad's title.
Right.
And the reality is his superpower is actually from his mom. And
It's
so
from
that
his
scene was
mom.
epic. So thank you, Frank, for writing the book. But thank you, Denis, for focusing in on that. I mean,
And
I
that
felt
scene making the cut.
it was
The scene made the cut. Love it.
brilliant.
And I just feel like it was poetic when the Duke is the Baron's prisoner, and the way they had him laid out like Michelangelo's,
Sistine Chapel.
Yes, that really what the creation of Adam. I felt like he was like kind of presenting as Adam. I could be wrong, but that was the visual I
There's
got
our
from it.
Catholicism sneaking back
Yeah.
in again.
Always. But to me, it just had that kind of beautiful, I mean, he was in the nude. We didn't see his privates or anything, but just the way he was, just the way that he was, I mean, he's like laid out in the chair, and I thought, gosh, that's so stunningly beautiful, because he's obviously, if you read the book, no, he's not going to make it.
Yeah. Well, even in some of the interviews that we've watched, and best believe Jaden has had his dad and I watch so many of these interviews of the actors and cast being chit-chatted with. Amazing. And they kind of talk about different things about this film. And so you talk about no spoilers, but there's a couple of times where the Duke in real life, the actor who's portraying him, actually let something go, and we're like, shoot, if you haven't read the book, you wouldn't have known that. So hopefully it didn't ruin it for some people.
And isn't he the same actor that was in Star Wars?
Yes, yes he was.
Yeah.
Yes he was.
Okay, I love the helicopters.
The Thopters.
The Thopters look like dragonflies, and I thought, oh my gosh, the CGI team. I avoided watching any documentaries leading up to this because I just didn't want to be
We watched
spoiled.
like when the cast was because they spent a lot of time in Venice, and there were some just cool moments with them, like on the red carpet when it premiered there. I guess the Italian girl teenagers were they had never had somebody try to break in during that film festival.
What?
And these young teenage girls were all about Timothy Chalamet,
Oh,
and they were.
I guess
trying
I
to
can see that.
Yeah, in there, and so they had to like beef up their security. They weren't like anticipating that, but they would do these interviews, and actually, it's I think her name is Cynthia. I can't think of her last name right now. Anyway, she was the one that was in Harriet. Brilliant Broadway actress in The Color Purple. She actually got to interview them for Entertainment Channel. And
How
it was
awesome.
really amazing just seeing the actors talk about just their whole dynamic together.
I mean, Timothy is, first of all, I don't know how young he is, because he's still, I think, early 20s. He might be Trent and Jaden's age. Did you see him in do you remember the movie Lady Bird? Did you ever watch
Yeah,
Lady
I
Bird?
saw Lady Bird.
Yeah, so that's my first encounter with him. He wasn't like the best character in there, but so again, one of the A24 films.
I remember him from Beautiful Boy. That
Beautiful
was the
Boy
one
was
that,
hauntingly.
Call Me by Your Name.
I did not
He got
watch that
critical
one.
acclaim for.
Yeah,
Call Me
I
by
didn't
Your
watch
Name.
that one yet. But he's just a wonderful actor, and him, I don't know. I just feel like wow, just wow. You know.
It is a wow. This is who I'm talking about. Cynthia Erivo. She was also in Stephen King's outsider.
Yes, let me see it.
Oh, you'll recognize her.
Yeah,
right away.
no. Who was she in it?
She was the one who did the interview that we saw in Venice.
Oh,
And I
okay.
just thought it was
Yeah.
really great that they
Was
brought
she
this
also
Broadway.
in Cruella?
I'm not
Did she
sure.
play the reporter in Cruella?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No, she would have had more of a starring role. She was just amazing. I don't think so. Well, you can look up her casting or something like that. But anyway, she's from
Yeah, Harriet. She was great in Harriet.
she was amazing in Harriet, and she is from London. She's from the UK, and she's just an amazing person. And so I thought, how cool she gets to interview all these people. And David Batista was on there.
yes.
All of them. She has an amazing.
Paxton
resume.
said he had a hard time with Batista because how did I say it? Because he's so nice.
Oh, really?
So he had a
I
hard
thought
time
he
him
came
playing
across
the
very cruel.
No, just him being cast as the villain. He's used to him being more nice in more of the films we've seen. You know, Guardians, like he's the fun.
I guess because he used to be a wrestler and everything, and I've listened to a couple of his interviews on Michael Rosenbaum. He actually really has like a really serious street side, and I'm like, dang, don't mess with him.
Yeah.
He was raised by 2 lesbians, by the way.
Oh, that's
he
probably
has-
why he's so cool.
Yeah, he's really cool. Really cool.
All right.
So
sorry,
yeah,
we're
so David
just
Lynch,
looking at this.
1985. David Lynch, I hope that you actually, once again, just turn that whole thing around, that narrative around, and go celebrate these people who brought this book to a whole nother generation. You know, the fact that my son is
so
into it.
amazing. Okay, I'm having a hard time looking at this. Cruella, Panic, Cynthia, and Barrow. I feel like that was her, but it didn't like.
No, I don't
show
think
up.
so. Anyway, let's moving on, Samantha. We have this wonderful cocktail.
No, I'm really thirsty. I'm watching over here. The ice is melting. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Campari, Italian.
Which is fitting since they had their big premiere in Venice. Italy.
That
I
is
love it.
true, but it also, I just was thinking more of the color. We've done cinnamon-based type drinks.
A lot of them, actually.
We're not huge fans of cinnamon per se,
Except you can
but
light
we're
those
just
drinks on
coming
fire.
off of Nightmare on Elm Street, which you know was the little spark the fire. In that, so I was gravitating to this book cover, and so I thought, oh, Campari. Also, it is bittersweet liqueur with orange peel, cherry, cloves, and cinnamon.
I didn't realize cloves was in there, but that makes
Neither
sense.
did I. Like I was saying earlier, for a real Aperol spritz, a lot of people love Aperol. That's actually sweeter than the Campari. Campari is more bittersweet, which is what we always usually gravitate to. That's why I like tonic. So this is a Campari tonic. Guys, so simple.
It's way simple.
1 part Campari. You know, put that in your highball glass or whatever glass you want to use. Then fill it with ice. Top it off with tonic water. Or, you know, well, it won't be a Campari tonic if you don't use tonic water. So you got to use tonic water. And we use a light tonic water from the store brand, Select brand at Vaughn's.
Vaughn's?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I
then,
usually like the Indian ones.
I do, but you know what? Affordability wise and just, you know, if you're having a couple things on stock, like, you know, if you're having a get together,
It's a
you just want to
beautiful
have,
You
let's
kinda
get
see
into it.
here.
Well, and then, again, I'm going in with my left hand. I'm trying not to hit my mics. Oh, cheers again to Dune. Okay, I have a stir stick in mine. But we also garnished with these gorgeous, and for our viewers on YouTube, you can see the dried orange. You can get those at Trader Joe's, which when we used to go to Lake Powell, we did a couple summers there with some friends. One of the gals brought those for her Aperol spritz. And so I just... Hey, that's a great keeping
I'd actually
garnish.
snack on that. I'm gonna have mine soak inside of it. Look at that. Look at that. Come on. That is a gorgeous
Isn't that
drink.
so pretty? Now, you can see us on Instagram. Ronnie will be posting our little footage we took in my kitchen earlier. But, yeah, Campari Tonic. It is my favorite.
I loved how simple it was. You should have
The
seen us.
simplicity.
We were like, how do we, you know, because it's about presentation. You know, we're trying to do these TikToks and we're trying to do the IGTV. And I said, we need to go to the beach and get some sand. And she said, well, add glitter. And, you know, that's how our big brain works together. And, yeah, so there it is.
Oh,
up in
it's
a
funny. You
little
can
vial.
see in our story. Yeah, so we went and got some sand from the beach because I'm about a mile from the beach. And we thought it'd be fun to put glitter. Sorry, Trent. We know glitter is bad for the environment. But guess what? I'm going to hold on to this sand and glitter for all of eternity that I live in a Ziploc bag, which is also bad for the
We'll always
environment.
use it.
But it will use it for whatever we
Whatever crafty thing happens.
need. It won't go to waste.
So, Samantha,
Yes.
can we talk about fear is the mind killer?
Okay,
Yes.
let me read this.
Okay.
This is why. Okay. Fear is the mind killer, as Ronnie said. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Dune
I love
Chronicles #1. That's
And
why I wanted.
Jessica does it in the film.
And so does Paul when he's flying
And
the.
when he's fine, yes, and it just...
And that's why I said, I want to talk about that, definitely in more in depth, because even that has layers. Look, don't let fear kill you, as you were saying, right? Fear is the mind killer. Once you succumb to fear, it's like saying I can't. You already can't.
It ends up being a mental block.
But then what I liked what it said, I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. I will
That's pretty
be
powerful.
more than the fear.
Yeah.
I will see past it. I will get past it. Do not succumb to fear.
And by the way, I think that part where it goes through them, right? It's almost like you become one with the fear. Mm-hmm. So you can rise above it. Mm-hmm. So destroy me, but I will rise like the phoenix.
It's like
kind of
getting a
thing. Like, it's
tarot
amazing.
card in tarot. Just embrace what that's going to happen and then let it go through you, because you're rebuilding, becoming something. Even I felt when he saw his death, it wasn't necessarily his death in the movie. It was the death of who he previously was, rising to the Messiah.
Mm-hmm. Pretty powerful. Pretty powerful.
And
stuff.
incredible. Jaden, I don't know if we did this podcast
Justice. We're actually going to be inviting Jaden to the commentary bit that we're going to be doing for our a little bit on YouTube, I think, but mostly on Patreon, and you'll really get a deeper understanding of how important this film was for my family and how it's branched over and spilled over to the Bowmans and our other friends.
Let's just talk about it. If you can't read the book, do the audio.
Yes.
That is what both Eric and Paxton did. And again, Paxton was like me, couldn't really get started in the book, but I pushed through. He ended up just doing the audio, which
And
is
enjoyed
a feat.
it.
Which is a feat in itself, by the
Sure.
way, because there's still a lot of chapters to commit to. And yeah, and then because we all read the book before the movie, the newer movie, it just made it so much more enthralling.
Yes.
And Jaden has read the book at least 5 times, I think, that I know of. And I kind of feel like I might need to read the next one. Because there's
he's
more
already
books,
finished
right?
it. Yeah, there's like 4 or 6 of them. I think there might be up to 6.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Jaden said that to me. So we'll put that in our description.
Yes,
below.
in our show notes.
But I'm telling you guys, we've always been impressed with my Jaden. I mean, he's a reader. He was reading The
readers.
Godfather his freshman year. You know, he's supposed to be doing physical
Read
education.
Frankenstein before us. Of course he did.
And so he has really good recommendations. And so as a mom, like, that made me super impressed with my kid. Like, wow,
You know what's
he's
cool?
deep.
Not only is it deep, but that he invited us to his world
Yes.
to say, this book is really good and amazing, or what have you. I'm a real fan. I will find myself to be able to relate to people I would like to relate to or understand, reading the books that they're reading, watching the show that they're watching.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like good talking points.
Yes.
And I think for us too is that our mom can even relate to this book because they were products of the 60s. And so to know that it was written that long ago, and boy, you think that the world has come a long way, but then you think we haven't come far enough.
We haven't come. We're still destroying.
There's still work to be done.
We're still destroying it. And that Frank
Well,
Hubert
also
was,
too, I think celebrating the different cultures around the world. That's a huge
why
miss
can't
for
we
us.
celebrate it?
Yeah.
Why
you
does
know?
it have to be
I
you
love-
versus them?
Yeah, and I love the overlays of religion in there. You know, we often talk about religion because of our Catholicism. We've had cousins of ours who married Muslims, and their weddings were like amazing, and you just get this exposure to these cultures you wouldn't therefore other, you know, unless you go out and
Be
seek
open.
it.
Why are we not more open?
And in the film, I remember telling Samantha, like, how amazing is it that they concentrate on this prayer, and it was very much paralleling to me the Muslim culture, that they're taking time to praise Allah, and they have those undertones in the film of Dune. And Samantha said, yeah, what if we all just took time to pray or meditate?
Yeah, because to me,
and then
prayer
you'd
is
be like a
meditate.
cool, yeah, you'd be like, to me, like, I can handle my life.
Maybe
I
you're
can
chill.
handle-
Maybe that'll bring you your chill factor, right? Like, I have met those people that meditate regularly, and for me, that's saying the Hail Marys, you know,
Yes.
and I just feel like it makes you a calmer person.
Totally. And even our cousin Gretch, when we spent some time with her recently, she said she had gone to a spiritual shama type of person, and they give you mantras, and she said, you know, the only mantra you need is the Lord's Prayer. And then
like the
I'm
Lord's
like
Prayer.
saying the Lord's Prayer, and I said, oh my God, because it comes so automated to us when we're in
I
Mass,
know,
and we say, you're not really paying
exactly.
attention to the words after a while. You just kind of just do it.
You're
But
just
if
saying
really,
it in cadence with everybody else.
Yeah, but you know, just Frank, you did an amazing job, and we should all be paying attention to these undertones in this book and now the film by Denis, because it is very relevant. Very relevant. And we can learn something.
And there's, like we said about the cast, it was casted with familiar actors, so you already have a buy-in and a reason to go see it. It's sci-fi, it's adventurous, there's a lot of action-packed, right?
Yeah, because typically I don't enjoy sci-fi stuff. I mean, I watch it because sci-fi thrillers I get.
I watch it all.
But for me personally, fantasy hit or miss. Like, I wasn't a Lord of the Rings person, and this is the franchises that they're comparing this film to. They're comparing it to the Star Wars. They're comparing it to the Lord of the Rings, and if there's so many books, and they can actually build this universe bigger.
Yeah.
I am so down.
I'm on board
for this, and you will see me back at the theater waiting in line to see it.
Yeah. Go see the film, guys. It was fun. Let us know in the comments what you think. Are you a new Dune fan? Hey, maybe you see the movie, then you read the book.
And go see Dune.
Go see Dune. Cheers to Jaden.
Cheers to Jaden. Young yipper snapper.
Yes.
Teaching us a few things.
You can learn from the young.
100%.